Y'all ready for this? Want
to do the whole thing? Coming to you from
sunny Southwest Florida, this is Fractal Minds with the next Off the Mindcast.
our first stream.
Kevin, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Kevin. I'm one of the co-founders here at Fractal Minds.
And this is Jimmy James, another co-founder. We have our two good friends here. They are the other part of Off the Mindcast. We have Al.
Hi, I am Al.
And Brendon.
Hola, I am Brendon.
He is from
or
Spain.
as the Spanish people say, holla.
Holla for la dollar. Alright guys, how do we want to begin? Who wants to talk about what's going on in their lives first?
Well, should we do a little introduction to say what we're doing right now as far as people who haven't tuned into our podcast or anything?
For all the...
Well, like I said, it's archived.
0 viewers.
It's archived, so they're going to see it eventually.
No one watches archives, Kevin. Be real.
Yeah. Way to support Twitch there, buddy.
Oh, I love Twitch.
Conspiracy theorists watch our archives like crazy.
We did have two.
Until Kevin booted him off. Way to go, Kevin.
I had someone look at the recording and make sure we didn't lose anything.
It's like he was the enforcer, and he's like, "Get out of here!"
Yeah.
With his
Oh,
New
you
York
think you're
accent.
watching? No. Well, I got hotkeys, so I can push a button to stop the streaming.
Like the song goes, "Don't stop the streaming,
Don't
hold on to that
stop
feeling."
believing.
But anyways, we are live streaming our podcast for the first time ever. As you'll see Risk in the background.
Don't listen to that.
This is...
That's got like a little delay there.
It is. It's a little bit delayed.
I was like, "Whoa, do I got a twin in the room?"
But yeah, normally we just do a recording of the podcast on YouTube, edit it, and put it out. But this is all live streaming. And as you see in the background, Risk Factions, who will be playing Risk afterwards.
Yes, very excited about that.
We haven't put all the parts out to our original Risk video, but it was... They got
Don't
pretty
stop, get it.
We put out number 2 just today.
Yep. Risk Part 2 went out.
For everyone who doesn't know, we have a YouTube channel. YouTube / users that or / Fractal Minds E.
Yep.
I think that will give it to the channel.
Yep.
We're thinking about going into cam shows next, right, guys?
Oh, yeah, that'd be hot.
Yep.
4 of us,
My
all
3
4.
cams. Oh man,
It's gonna get steamy.
Yeah.
we're going to do the Brokeback Mountain Trail.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to do that kind of cam show, guys. We're going to get like a magician's kit and like wear some undies or something. But we're not doing anything past that.
But we have standards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, do you want to talk about the trail since we just brought that up? Do you want to say what we have planned?
I think Brendon should be able to. He should let him talk a little bit and.
Yeah. March 20th, we're gonna take a trip to the Appalachian Mountains, more specifically the Smoky Mountains. And we're going a 5-day hike, and it's gonna be cold, and it's gonna test our ability to deal with the elements, but we're all very prepared and we look forward to it. And we're gonna have
I have no
pictures.
idea what I have in store for myself.
That's the best part.
James is wearing shirt and t-shirt, shirt and shorts. There you go. That's what I was trying to
Yeah,
say.
that's all I need, right? Sandals, flip flops. That's not that guy in flip flops.
Up in the mountains, why not?
In the summer.
We're going in summer,
That
right?
picture's taken in July.
Oh man.
It's gonna be late March, so we'll see some snow.
So
we'll see a lot of ice.
What you're saying is we're going to take a march in March. We're going to see a lot of ice, but are we going to see a lot of ISIS in the Smoky Mountains?
Oh!
They better hope not.
Political
That's
talk.
That's right. We're going to have machetes. And just so
For the
the viewers
bears.
know,
For
just
the bears.
it's for the if there's like any twigs on our way, we're just gonna slice them. But just so the viewers know, we're gonna have a mutual assured aggression pack where one group will have a machete and the other two people will have a machete, so nothing gets a little too crazy.
Yeah, only two.
In case if we get really hungry, the two guys with machetes aren't gonna jump the two guys without the machetes.
Exactly.
You
Now,
just
for
never
our
know.
younger viewers, what Al is alluding to is during the Cold War, the United States and Russia had a pact of sorts, or at least something that dictated the relationship, where if one side was to nuke the other would get nuked too. So mutually assured destruction, but on the camping trail.
That's right. That's right. And instead of machetes, it was nuclear weapons, and that's why a lot of your grandparents had bomb shelters at one time. Not anymore. We don't need those.
I'll just fucking say it. You want the headphones so you can see what it sounds like on Twitch.
Fucking ridiculous.
I don't get that. What was that?
I was trying to like motion to him. You want the headphones so you can see what it sounds like on
Next
Twitch.
time for motioning, you pick up.
I did that! I did
All you did was...
You kind of like fondled
Yeah.
the wire, Kevin.
I didn't want to make too much noise. I'm sure that thing caught every single bit of the wire moving.
Okay, but back to the march. We're doing it in March.
I march to the beat of the indifferent drum.
Okay, Khalees. Bossy. That was a total reference. If anybody gets it, good for you. Anyway, how many miles do you think we're going to trek, Brendon?
Well,
I think if we hike over the course of 4 to 5 days, we could go anywhere between 5 and 10 miles a day. So over 4 days,
20 miles. Let's just say we'll
it's
probably
20
do
to
20
40
miles.
miles.
Wow, that's a lot of miles.
That's not bad.
It's going to be cold. We need to stay warm.
Okay.
Walking keeps you warm.
A lot of
yeah, I
body heat at
mean,
night.
really, if we just go at a normal walking pace, like, we can trek a good amount of time.
A good distance.
That's all we have in mind to do is walk around and explore, so...
Exactly. Be one with nature.
Yeah.
Kind of like that song by Cake. Going the distance.
Going the distance? That's
Except
a good song.
instead of he's going the distance, it's going to be like they are going the distance, or in our
We're
case,
going the
we are
distance.
going the distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not really going for speed.
No, yeah, exactly. We're going for the joy.
Yeah.
We're not rushing.
It's about the experience.
No, I'm Russian. You guys aren't.
It's all about the Russian. We're doing this for you, Alex.
No, it's all about Ace. It's all about Ace, guys.
Oh, man.
The most beautiful part about being out on a hike is the solitude, being with people that you enjoy the company of, and how your senses become alive in the wilderness.
I always wanted to see a kangaroo.
What?
Who knows? Maybe there'll be a stray kangaroo.
Al, there's no kangaroos.
I'm just looking at Australia on Risk Factions, and
When
I
we play
just...
Risk later, I think we're all going to go for Australia.
No Australia.
Not me. I've never went for Australia,
There's
but I will
different
go
maps.
to Australia.
There's different maps we can play. We don't have to do the traditional. We could go with their custom-made ones if you want to.
No, let's go with the traditional.
I like
I traditional.
Exactly.
I like traditional.
You like missionary? Like what?
I
is
like
that-
it, but
like
mix it up
Spanish
a little bit.
missionaries or
Yeah.
Islamic missionaries?
No.
I think he's talking about like
the bedroom missionary.
Because there's no such thing as an Islamic missionary.
I don't.
They're all conquistadors.
You know, Operation Ivy had a good song called Missionary. But yeah, like missionary's a good.
missionary is a good
like,
position. It's traditional.
It works.
It
Like,
works.
you have the power. You get the job done, and yeah, I don't know, like I like doing that. It's traditional. It works.
I was married once. I know. All right, next subject.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't talk about the bedroom talks.
Because I haven't had a missionary position since then. I just let's move it. Let's get on to the next subject.
All right. Well, what have you been watching? You've watched Bosch.
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 I watched it's a new
Next subject, please.
Bush. They're alright band. I don't really like that band that much.
No, Bush is an awful band.
Yeah, I don't really like them that much.
Awful band.
You watch
Awful
Bosch?
presidents.
I watched Bosch. Well, we're not getting sponsored by Amazon.
The
Amazon
basketball player.
It's a new. That's not even Bosch. That's Bosch.
No, Bosch is like the power tools and the.
Why do shows have to have
appliances.
difficult names to pronounce? Why can't they just be
Pretty sure this one's pretty easy to pronounce.
Wow. Fuck you.
Oh, just because you can read, Kevin.
Yeah,
Some
Kevin,
of us can't.
Just because you have
Way
a
to
5th
go.
grade read level. Fuck you.
Some of us didn't make it through all
Yeah.
that.
Alright,
School, Kevin.
hold on. Go with me here. Ba. Shh.
But no, that's not how it's spelled. It's spelled Bosch.
Namaste.
Hey, get
No,
O.
that's that.
It's B.
There's a BO.
What were you, are you saying? I have BO?
Well, okay. Your last name you pronounced not O.
Are we
Oliver?
talking about Barry Soerto here? Who are
Yeah.
we talking about?
Oliverio.
No, Bosch is the guy's last name. That's what we were going
Yeah,
way
the
off
basketball
top.
player.
Fuck you, Alex. Ow.
Please, I don't want my name. People are gonna
The
stalk
NSA
me.
is gonna.
I already tagged you in Twitch. You have your actual name on or Twitter. So
Hashtag Twitter.
All right, well, I'm out. Cat's out of the bag, guys. At Al Spiller on Twitter. That's a cheap plug.
Whoa! Plugs.
No, this is all natural hair. All natural
We
hair.
could plug our social medias, by the way. I guess we should do that for the podcast. Yeah. Well, since you did it, Al, you can.
Ain't no shame in plugging yourself.
Al's
If you know what I mean.
alspiller.com.
Yep.
Brendon,
I'm at SWFL Brendon, BRENDON.
you can catch me at Drummond J 108.
and mine's my actual name, Kevin Valentine. So
Is it a Fractal Kev?
not for, I didn't change Twitter.
That's
yet.
right.
Mhm.
And just so we're repping our set, it's 239.
239.
Southwest.
Or just find us on Fractal Minds. You'll
Drink.
find us all.
I'm opening up the Colt 45 for that one.
All right.
I drank all my
That
alcohol.
was the cue.
That's right.
Rep your set, open up the Colt
I
45.
poured one out on the carpet.
Dolly. All right, Kevin. So, are you finished with talking about?
all I said was. all I said is I watched Bosch, and I didn't even say anything about it.
That was wonderful. What's going on with you, Brendon?
I've been watching Brain Games on Netflix, which is originally broadcasted on National Geographic.
What?
It's an excellent show.
Is there a lot of nudity, like
There's no
natural
nudity.
nudity?
No nudity.
My favorite
The
was
first
Nudity.
season,
Went
the
to
first
Africa.
season, no nudity. What I've noticed in the second season of Brain Games, a lot more tits.
Is that the? Is
a
that
lot
the,
more tits.
Is
There's
that a
tits
game
all
show?
over. No, it's not a game show.
Oh, okay.
What it does, it
Just kidding.
deals with the fact that your brain perceives things differently than reality actually displays to us.
Was that what you're trying to show with that gray thing?
Yeah, with the two different.
That didn't work.
Yeah, I think you're just being difficult. But for some people, it doesn't work. But pretty much what it does is that the world exists differently than how your brain perceives it, and it exploits those differences in a show. So shading, movement, different things that happen that you really don't realize because your brain can only take in so
Perception.
much information. It takes shortcuts to figure things out, and sometimes that gives you an inaccurate view of how reality actually is.
It's like when you stare at those things people post on Facebook, where you stare at this dot and then you look at this light, and then you stare at the dot for about 15 seconds, and you look at the light again, and then you see a picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like that.
See
Just
that?
like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You had a mind game today that you. What's darker? Remember the gray color?
Yeah, that's what James and I were talking about, is that you had two different shades of gray, and
There's
one was
actually
lighter than the
50.
other.
From what I hear.
feel
I've
like you're
heard-
going
yeah.
there.
But you put your
They made
finger
a
in
movie
between.
about it. Oh, you're talking about putting your finger
Finger
in
in
between
between.
now. Okay, gotcha.
Figure
I've heard there's some dirtier stuff in that new 50 Shades of Grey. That probably should be.
So
talked
it's
about
all
on a different
about
podcast.
it's all about the perceptions.
No, we were
You know.
talked about missionary. We talked about anything.
Well, I've heard some pretty disgusting things about.
You
this
know what,
movie.
guys?
bondage and shit.
You know what, guys? My desires are
Tampon play.
unconventional.
Tampon play.
Shut the fuck up.
Nothing sexual about that, as far as
No.
I can understand.
No.
Now, is
what
this
happens.
is this used tampon play or is
Oh,
this?
I don't even want to know.
I've heard this
That's
tampon
disgusting.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
I'm out.
play. Yeah.
That's messed. Like,
You know,
seriously,
that's
fuck
that's
that.
for people.
Like,
That's for people that just like their steak a little bit too raw. Just saying.
how do you like it? I like it medium rare.
Medium
I
rare.
think
Yeah.
mine a little bloody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like to hear when I cut into it. I like to hear the cow move.
You
a little
know-
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it with the blue cheese on top.
Oh,
A little
no.
floating with blue cheese on
No,
top. It's beautiful.
no.
It tastes good.
No.
Yeah.
I'll give you mushrooms and onions. Like that's pretty good on top of steak.
Like a Salisbury steak,
No, not quite.
but Yeah, getting back to
Tampon play.
getting
Al
back
likes his steak rare with blue cheese.
to not medium rare. Medium rare. I don't like it too rare, so,
Yeah,
unless if
medium.
I'm making it, And
Pink with some.
You don't know where it comes from.
it all depends on the meat.
Sirloin? I like the sirloin.
Costco has good meat.
I have good meat.
My desires are unconventional when it comes to steak, guys.
My favorite is the sirloin steak.
Show me.
When we go to the French.
What? You're such a tool.
And then I actually pulled out a jar of pickles for those that can't watch us because we don't have a cam, and it has pickled steaks in it, right, guys? Do you see the jar of pickled
Yeah, I
steaks?
see it.
I do.
My
I see
desires are just unconventional, I guess. I don't know.
Spears is my favorite form of pickle.
Which kind? The Britney Spears?
No.
The man of puns today.
I'm freaking rolling with puns.
Yeah, you're on top of it today.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't talk about the trail at all. What the fuck?
We did. Actually, Brendon mentioned a lot about it, but
It was Bosch I didn't get to go into.
I feel like we wanted to talk more about. Well, we didn't talk about Nashville. Did we talk about Nashville?
No, I didn't
Talk
mention
about
Nashville. No more puns. 5 minutes. No puns.
You're on timeout. All right.
Let's get this back in order.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk
What's the
about
plan?
Bosch.
Yeah. Well, okay. Sorry.
We
We'll
started
do what we've been into, and then we'll move on to the Appalachian
Okay,
Trail.
cool. Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that puts me on the spot again. I've been watching the new Amazon original series, Bosch, which is a detective or a crime thriller that Amazon released the whole season already, and I'm up to episode 8 of 11, I believe, 8 or 9 of 11, I think. So I got like 2 episodes left, but it's been gripping. It's been very suspenseful. Maybe not as good as True Detective, Alex.
No, of course it's not.
Yeah, so.
Have you seen True Detective yet?
Unfortunately, I saw the end of it because
What?
someone in this
How did you watch
because
the
someone
last episode?
because someone in this room watched the last 2 episodes while I was present.
Oh, ow!
Yeah,
You're
so-
such a. Oh.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
okay, what? How did he word that? While he was present, you know what? You didn't have to be in the room. You could have went to timeout, not me.
I'm sorry. I love the beginning of that season way more than the later half. I love the
Because you're getting to know Russ Cole and his younger, shaved
Yes,
stage instead of
yes.
that trashy little mustache.
I
that
Is
he
that-
had.
about that a little
is it
bit.
Matthew
It's a slow
McConaughey?
burn too. Initially, you really don't know where it's going.
You love those characters.
You love those characters.
Oh.
It really develops the characters.
So good.
And then towards the end,
So good.
it's excellent. But back to Bosch.
There's going to be a season 2 coming out, y'all.
Yeah.
Yes,
Vince
with
Vaughn
Vince
and
Vaughn,
what's his
Farrell.
Colin Farrell. There's
What's
going to be
the girls?
the chick from what's that Notebook movie, right? Rachel McAdams.
Yeah,
Or,
I think so.
is it Rachel McAdams or
I
Amy
thought so.
Adams?
I don't think it's Amy.
I don't
I
think
think
it's Amy. I think
it's
it's
Rachel
Rachel.
Is it
McAdams.
Rachel
And then there's
I was
another
thinking
person. I
originally
forget
Amy
who.
Adams.
Yeah, no, I don't know. That's what I thought.
No, it was who won the supporting role? It was Julianne Moore, supporting actress.
She's
Or
in the
best
new
actress.
True Detective.
No, sorry, it just came to mind.
No,
Okay.
she was in the Big Lebowski. She was Mom.
She was.
Mhm,
Yes,
she
Yeah.
was. The painter.
Hashtag Bill Lebowski.
The
Yeah.
artist, yeah.
Hey, what was it? Our sex tape. What was the Twitter? What's that Twitter hashtag?
We all have
You
a
guys
sex
have a
tape
sex
chat.
tape?
The Twitter
Oh,
trending
man.
topic. The name of my sex tape.
The name of my sex tape. Yeah.
Yes, the
I
big
went
one.
with once. You went with.
I didn't go with nothing.
You went with Bill Lebowski.
I went with the Big Lebowski. There was a trending topic on Twitter. recently.
Okay, so pop culture reference, a movie, music. What would be your title of the sex tape?
Big Bang Theory.
There you go. It created life.
Al, what was yours? Do you have one?
I would go with
See,
Jackie Brown
Aww.
Or
You like
for
the,
the little darker skinned ladies
you like
out
the
there.
chocolate? You like
Yeah.
chocolate milk?
I like Norman Love chocolate.
delicious.
That's a plug.
Miramar Outlet just opened
We
up.
get a sponsor
I want
from
free
it.
No, that'd
chocolates.
be great, man.
How
That'd be
about-
so awesome.
The longest yard.
That was excellent.
I
didn't
see
that.
where you're going with that, and I think he'd scare a lot of people.
Wouldn't scare me. So I watched. What have I been watching?
I'd take you to the hospital, to be honest with you. I'd be like, you serious? There must be some swelling going on. And you need to get that checked out because your heart can't pump all that blood. Just saying.
We've been
Science.
We've been watching Better Call Saul. What have you guys been thinking about that? It's been a pretty cool show.
I'm just waiting for a twist. Well, I mean, it hasn't been as... Well, I mean, the twists have been there, but they haven't been as, like, with...
Yes, that's what my point I was going to get to is there was already a show that predated it that it is entangled to, and that's Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So you have all the expectations of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Okay, but remember what Breaking Bad was in the first season. It was building this character, and it was a very short season, too. So, I don't know how long the season is, but I imagine it's more than 7 episodes. Because Breaking Bad first season was during the writer's strike that ruined a lot of shows. Heroes was ruined because of that show, or the writer's strike. Lost had a bad season 4 because of...
Heroes was ruined because it was on network television. I'm just going to put that out there.
No, Heroes, the first season of Heroes was amazing. That's some of the best television out there.
I heard a lot about Heroes.
Yeah.
Didn't get to see it, though. I didn't watch it because I heard it was canceled. That was one of those things. Like, there's a lot of... Not to get into anime.
Yeah, it's coming back, by the way.
I would watch certain anime back in the day.
Okay.
It would fucking end. And there was no ending to it. If I hear there's a series that goes and doesn't end, like, I hate... That's worse than a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, they didn't wrap it up necessarily, but they did wrap up some storylines. So at least, like, the storylines are kind of wrapped up that you care about. But the characters are, let's... Commercial break. We needed to get some ice. We need to sit back down, and I'm posting some stuff on...
That was actually an avalanche.
Avalanche.
Yeah, it's pretty chilly over here in Florida. As it is the rest of the country. There's been at least 5 feet of snow. Kevin's been out there every morning shoveling out the driveway. Oh no, wait, never mind, we're Florida. We don't do that.
Florida. Ow.
Because we at least have some sense to move to where it doesn't snow like that, you crazy bunch of Yankees.
Fun fact, he hasn't said comedies yet.
This is probably the worst podcast ever.
Just because we're making fun of Yankees? Come on.
We haven't stayed on topic on anything so far.
Yeah, you
We can
guys
move on.
have.
The only 2 people haven't talked about their interest. Let's move on. What are your current interests, James?
What have I been doing lately?
Exactly.
Well, I watched a couple movies lately. The Oscars just happened, and with all the Oscar talk, Whiplash has been brought up a lot. And having a drumming background, Whiplash was a movie that instantly was like an interest to me. It involves a aspiring jazz drummer that's in college right now, and there's basically a military director, music director, that is drilling him to push him to be the best drummer that he can be. And this kid is sacrificing his own body to become the best drummer that he can ever be. And watching it and flashing back to my days of drumming and not going to the extremes that he's going through, because they definitely glorified everything. Like, it's not based off a true story, but it's based off of the experiences of the writer and the director. So there's definitely some truth into the sense of directors can be mean as fuck sometimes, and they can kind of act like drill instructors.
He was worse than a drill instructor.
Oh, it was bad. But like, that's definitely like, there's no music director like that, and he would definitely that would never happen. But in the movie, it worked, and it was this very intense movie. Because the kid like is bleeding at times to play these parts, and that's what was also kind of cool about watching it, was jazz drumming is probably one of the hardest things to do in drumming compared to every single type of genre. Punk, metal, definitely pop and dance. But jazz drumming, if you're going for the high-speed jazz drumming, which they were doing in this movie, they were focusing on those kind of elements of jazz, the high-speed, intense playing. The sacrifices that he had to do in order to play those parts oh my goodness, as a drummer, like feeling that was just very intense. But I think a lot of people could, definitely the people who are connected to music, that feel music, they can get something out of watching Whiplash. And the performance that J.K. Simmons, the actor who portrays the military music director, he won the Oscar for supporting actor for this role. So he definitely deserved it. It was a very powerful performance and highly recommended. Watch Whiplash. Watch it, buy it. Don't download for free.
All right, so feeding off of that, I'm just going to go into my grind.
That's at the end. That's at the end.
Oh, now you are distracted.
Well,
no grinds yet.
No, I'm just going to go.
No grinds yet. There has to be
Look,
some
I have to relate it to what he's talking about, and that's the Oscars. And you guys know where I'm going with this. You guys know exactly where I'm going with this. And I really have two grinds about this incident, all right?
You don't like the Oscars?
No. Come on, man.
I agree. If Al doesn't like the Oscars, I agree with him.
No, I don't. I actually, BTW,
It's like a
fun
big
fact
circle.
of Al, I actually stood on that same Dolby Theater stage. I couldn't take a picture of it because I don't think they allow you to take pictures like while you're standing on the stage.
Huh.
But
That's
yeah,
interesting.
while we were in LA, we took a tour of that theater, and they gave us like a lot of insight about what goes on into the whole production of it and all that. But my grind about what happened at the Oscars with Patricia Arquette, I have two grinds. One is about her like little feminist rant that she went on. Two, everybody that joined up on that feminist rant was like, oh, I wasn't a big fan of Patricia Arquette until now. Like, how are you not a fan of True Romance when Patricia Arquette was in True Romance? All right, that pisses me off beyond no measure because she played pretty much what was the chick's name in Kill Bill?
The Bride.
Wait,
Or
okay.
Uma Thurman.
Right.
Yeah, okay, she was the bride because they really didn't mention her name.
That's
but
it.
but anyway, she played that part predating Kill Bill. She kind of played that bride part where she was
Okay.
beat up and all of that, and then came back against her killers.
Sure.
And it was a good part for her. It was a good part for Christian Slater. It was a good part for Gary Oldman playing Rasta dude. That was crazy. Crazy pimp Rasta dude in
That's
Detroit.
a crazy movie, yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, my rant, my grind about it is just there was no need.
Because it's feminist, or because she used a stage where
As a
you have
platform.
the majority of the people in the film industry under one roof to express the fact that females in Hollywood don't make as much money. Now, what's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that is it's just a waste of everybody's time, and she only did
Why?
it really
But
for the
what?
shock value. She wasn't doing it
But
for them.
saying
They all
she-
agree
but
with
saying-
her.
But here's the thing.
They all agree with her,
But
but they
here's the
still
thing.
don't pay that amount of money to
But are we
female
talking
actors.
about it now?
Yeah, we're talking about it now because we're talking about how stupid and annoying it is.
But
Literally,
really,
science.
but when it comes down to it, what she was saying was that females, women in Hollywood don't make as much as men do.
No, she was venting about it.
I
Maybe
don't know.
so.
Scarlett Johansson made a shit ton of money off of the Avengers. I think, maybe close to under Robert Downey Jr. She made it.
Yeah, but
Buttload of money.
that's the exception to the rule.
Well,
For the
there's
most part, the men are the leading characters.
Sure. Now,
They're the ones who make the most money. Now there are a lot of female-driven movies.
Mhm.
As far
It's a
as
trend.
movies,
It's
It's
a
a trend. Women make up 50% of the world. Now,
isn't it like
first off,
51?
51 more.
Yeah, I thought.
You're right.
Like, yeah, I think
So why is it that we have more movies where men play the protagonists than women?
I think more men go to see movies, are more inclined to be fans of movies for the most part. I mean, yeah, there's definitely females that are fans of movies, but I think for the majority, and look who's in this room right now, it's 4 dudes.
yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't argue with that.
And we are the majority that go out to spend movies on. I mean, when you
But
talk
here's the thing, though: if you had more women
portrayed,
portrayed as the heroine,
mm-hmm.
or the main character in movies, would that drive more women to the theaters?
Yeah, I mean,
No,
Are
I
there
don't
more
think so.
men that are more involved with going to the movies because there are more movies with men as a protagonist?
you know, it's a very good movie or two movies to compare this
Are you
to.
talking about Lucy?
Nope, I'm talking about Magic Mike XXL and 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
All the women that I know that are interested in these movies, they are dissing 50 Shades of Grey
Oh, yeah.
and loving Magic Mike.
It's not as explicit as the books.
Is that what it is?
Basically.
They
Watch
want
a
it to
porno, you idiot!
And that's what I'm saying. But you can't say that because it's out there for them to watch, but they'd rather go with their friends, make it a big social event, and it's like kind of what we were talking about. It's the way men watch movies as opposed to the way women
That's
watch
not
movies.
necessarily true.
What are
If
they
you look at a movie
buying?
like The Hunger Games.
Yeah, okay.
The Hunger Games, you have a female protagonist,
Okay.
and you have
Did you read
a
the
audience
books?
base. I didn't read the books.
I read the books.
But the audience base,
I hate reading books. I'd rather
That's
watch
right.
the movie.
Kevin, you don't read books either. Okay.
You can't
Not
get
anymore.
abs from
Not
reading
anymore.
books. I'll say it again.
What?
but you have a female lead,
Okay.
and
Rather
a
work
feminine
out.
perspective, and
Wait,
I think that appeals to women, and it's a blockbuster. And
like it.
I don't know what the percentages of to male to female actually going to the movies,
Okay.
but I would say there's probably just as many women as men going to see that movie.
To see Hunger Games?
Yeah.
Okay, then now talk about the Avengers.
Well, the Avengers, obviously, I'd say there's probably more men going to see it than women. But what I'm saying is
But,
that,
like, the female
that
lead
when we
movies.
just talked about 50 Shades of Grey
Mhm.
and Magic Mike,
Yeah.
and we said, oh, women are going to see these movies. Well,
Well,
that's, I mean,
Well, I
you
brought
have
this up-
other movies that don't portray women or don't
That's the way it's marketed
appeal
too.
to.
It's the way
it's
that
all
it's
about marketing.
marketed.
It's
It is all about marketing, but what I'm saying is we said that those two movies, those are movies women go to see. Women just go to see movies that have to do with
Oh, no.
being sexually satisfied or having men dance around naked.
That-
They go to
that's-
see
yeah.
movies too where women are portrayed as strong and independent.
Oh, definitely.
And it's the same way that men are portrayed in movies. And if a movie like that can be a blockbuster with a majority, or maybe not a majority, but close to half and half female male
Yeah.
viewership, then that shows that maybe that it's just that because we have men portrayed in these movies as being the heroes, that's why we have more men seeing them. But if we had more women portrayed in the same way, women would go see the movies too.
The only reason why I brought those movies up was those are the two movies recently that I've heard our coworkers talk about. Those are
And the
movies
predominantly women are going to, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And
and Facebook. What people
it's
see on
marketed
Facebook.
towards the group, but there's only so much of a market to women as opposed to this broader based market. The broader based market really more men go to. It appeals to men more. Men usually make the decision of what movies the couple will see. All right, so surprise, surprise, men actors might get paid more.
I forgot what our sorry topic was. Man, this episode's called Tangent. Drunken Tangent.
I almost think you're drinking out of a straight up liquor bottle right now because that thing is so
Dude,
big.
Colt 45 malt liquor. I'm drinking out of a 32 ounce. I wish I had a 40, but this is a fucking great drink. I love this right now.
I just got a chew in.
You're drinking. You're drinking out of the IPA.
No, I'm not drinking. I'm spitting into
Oh,
the
you're spitting
IPA
in.
bottle
You had-
that
you enjoyed
I
once.
drank. Yeah.
All right, real quick, guys. I just
What do you want?
I just want to say the demographic of Catching Fire, the Hunger Games movie, 71% was female.
Oh yeah. Well, obviously, like
71%.
okay.
So was
I
that,
watched
was
that.
that or was it not a huge blockbuster?
That was a huge.
It was a
blockbuster.
huge blockbuster, one of the biggest movies of the past few years. As far as box office, it was one of the biggest over the past few years.
It's
you
up
can
there.
look up top 10 movies past 5 years.
It's a top 10 movie. Yes, I'll give
All
you
right.
the top 10 movies.
So you had a female protagonist, and
Uh-huh.
you had a 71% viewership for female.
There's
in the
definitely a
audience.
call for it. I
So-
agree. There's definitely a call for it.
to say that it's men go to the movies
Well, you're
is a
talking about one
ridiculous
movie.
statement. Women go to the movies too. And you're just not appealing to them.
one movie.
Mr. Women's Rights over here. I
Forgot
forgot.
to do more movies. And the
He's
rest
also
of
the only one
movies-
with a girlfriend right now too, so I guess I see where he's coming from.
Yeah, he kind of has to be henpecked a
I
little
am
bit.
the reluctant feminist.
That's a shame.
Okay, Mr. Powerpuff. Hey, did you do Powerpuff in high school? I did.
I did Pee Wee.
You did Pee Wee football in high school?
Powerpuff.
They do that?
Did you guys?
I heard
did you guys have
JV,
that?
but not Pee Wee football.
Did you have that where the girls played football and then the guys did
Yep.
the cheerleaders? Yeah, I did that. I was like, fuck it, why not?
No, that was a little bit too gay for me.
No, it wasn't gay. You just.
I'm just saying I can't cheerlead. That's just not my thing.
Ah, well,
Unless if you're talking about the Ronald Reagan kind of cheerleading where
I got
you're
that spirit.
patriotic to your
Oh,
country
I was a drumline.
and
so
not
like,
vetoing pipelines.
That's all the spirit. Like that's all it is.
Just
So-
saying.
You been watching anything, Al?
No, man, I don't have cable. I have Netflix. As far as what I watch on Netflix,
You watched,
it's either comedy shows or...
We know what? We watched a movie all together recently, Airplane.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Probably my favorite comedy of all time.
James, have you ever seen a grown man naked?
Ever been to a Turkish prison?
Do you guys watch gladiator movies?
Kevin likes Gladiator a lot.
Oh yeah, that's one of Russell Crowe's one of like his best movies ever, and I think that movie is just excellent. By all, like from the beginning, then it plays a little slow, but I mean it's for the story that it's portraying.
I only said that because it was playing at our work
Oh, yeah.
during our lunch break. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, Airplane is one of the best comedies by the Zucker brothers. So I love that film. Every line is basically a punch. Like it works every scene. The announcers in the beginning to the people trying to give everyone flowers.
The
and-
black guys that are talking their
Oh,
jive.
the jive talk, yes.
Oh, yeah.
When my parents quote that, it's amazing. I love it.
Oh,
I just want to make a real quick point.
I picked the wrong
If
day to
this
quit
is about
drinking.
women
Let's
in
go.
theaters, I'm going to
Again,
slap
yeah,
it.
see,
2013.
I'm gonna
This
slap
is
it.
my
Number
grind.
one movie
We already know.
2013 was The Hunger Games.
We already
No
know.
one
Two
fucking cares.
was Iron Man.
We already know.
Wow, that's actually
we
kinda
already
good.
know.
That's a
United
double-
States
get
or
it.
global? Is that United States or global?
U.S.
Wow,
Domestic.
interesting.
Well, we know what
Wait,
vote Brennan's winning.
2013?
2013.
Iron Man 3?
Iron Man 3.
Hunger Games 1. Wow, what's the
No,
difference?
Catching Fire.
Catching Fire. Oh, the second one. Yeah.
Second one.
Okay, that's right.
You know, the Used made a song one time called "I Caught Fire," and
Do you like
anytime
the Used?
I love the Used, man. You don't like the
Used is
Used?
I like the singles. They're a singles band for me. I like their.
Well, yeah, me too. You know who else is a good singles?
Tool.
Kraft.
Who's the
They have the best. They have the best singles. Kraft singles.
Oh
Cheese.
my goodness. How I hate you.
Take a little laughter pause there for such an awful pun. But hey, it's whatever. Once you're rolling 50 puns deep into a podcast, they eventually wear on you.
Alex, I think you're the one who actually hasn't
We need a pun count.
said what you've been doing. Like,
Man, what I've been doing,
He's been.
I just
trolling?
like I
Yeah.
work out, I hang
works
out.
out.
That's it. That's what I do.
watch no
Kev, you want to take a
pictures.
picture?
Take a picture? Sure, I can take a
We haven't
picture.
taken a picture yet.
Hopefully soon we'll be. Oh, one last thing for the Appalachian Trail trip. I got a GoPro.
You're not
so-
supposed to look at the picture. There's no posing. Like, make it casual. Man, you guys.
Brendon, no.
Let me touch his
Yeah,
toe.
Don't touch the toe. Like, it's like God and Adam. Or what was not God?
It's finger to finger.
yeah.
We could do that.
Finger, no,
No,
finger
that's
to
too
toe.
sacrilege.
Touch my finger.
Sacrilege. We did toe to toe.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Oh, that's
feels
just
weird.
too gay.
Okay, I think I got.
Don't take that finger out!
I got like 10 photos.
Oh, jeez.
So now I get a chance. I get to choose like
You're
what
such a
photo.
pervert.
Yeah,
Toe touching.
He's
yeah.
gonna tell us. Yeah, there was no toe touching photo, but secretly it's his background.
Well,
I think I found the winning photo. It's one of like James is sitting there. Brendan's over here doing one of these things to Alex. I think he was just
he's
talking.
trying to do the finger thing.
Yeah,
Trying to make that happen.
yeah, that's good. That's good.
What happened? Let me see it.
That's that. Like you're hanging out over there watching. Looks like they're about to fight.
Well, do we want to talk about Fractal Minds news? About our
big news.
networking?
Yeah. We are. Well, I mean,
moving on up.
We're unofficially.
Fish don't fry in the kitchen.
On our YouTube channel
we
yet.
applied for it.
Hey, they found us.
They found us. We've been seeked. We posted a Loot Crate video for February. So if you want to watch the video that is potentially will give us some growth, hopefully.
Yeah.
Look out for a Loot Crate February video. That was a long one. That was we went bowling with our good friends Brendon and Al here, and after that we came home and we saw a Loot Crate box and we decided, fuck it, let's record a video. And we opened it up, we recorded it, put it out a couple days ago, and today we went on Twitter and someone was like, hey, that was a cool video. Want to be in our community?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. After a while we're like, why not? Let's do it.
We are YouTube partners.
Yeah, we're going to be on the...
on a magazine?
No, not quite a magazine. I'm going to look it up.
That's why you got to have your phone on hand, man.
The Purity Network. We'll be on that network. Not really sure all the details quite yet. It's a growing community of people, but they like our Loot Crate videos. I'm sure they like our other gaming videos. And
It fits us well. We are a growing channel. So we're going to be a growing channel and a growing community.
Fractal Minds, watch
Woo.
out.
Yeah. Be very cool.
Whoop, whoop.
And yeah, looking forward to our growth. Hopefully this channel will help us make some cool graphics and put out some cool music with our videos and shit.
You know, it'd be a cool technology for podcasts is to, like, when you say hashtag, it kind of creates
Automatically hashtag.
Yeah, automatically
Oh my
hashtags
goodness,
it.
yes.
I've always hated hashtags, but for that reason, I do like them.
Yeah.
I got some people where they hashtag 11 things, and I see why, because 11 different topics that people are viewing will
It
be.
makes sense.
Yeah.
If you use hashtags correctly, it makes sense. But when you do it dumb, like hashtag YOLO.
But we did the I did that one tweet where there wasn't a single word; it was just all hashtags.
Yeah.
I made a sentence with all hashtags.
That was, and it worked though. It makes sense.
It did.
Yeah. Anything else, guys? Like, what's your grinds? Since I already
No,
spoke
that's
about
at
mine.
the end.
That's at the very end.
I hate you, Al.
Hey, I gave a good topic. I mean, we got. The
Oh, you know what I want to talk about is Rock Band. Rock Band and Guitar Hero both have rumors that they're going to be revivals of both those franchises coming out this year potentially. So it's very interesting that the music rhythm genre is coming back to video games all in the same year. Rock Band has been in the talks for a while to come back. The Guitar Hero has been kind of waiting for a while. And just today, I read an article where someone said there's rumors of Guitar Hero being announced at E3 this year. So, very excited that the music genre is coming back, especially Rock Band. We had a little Rock Band session before recording this very podcast. That was very nice, very fun.
Opened up Brendon's eyes a little bit.
Played a little bass.
Yeah, he
It was
was
fun.
jamming
Some
out
at the
some
drive-in and a little Silver Sun pickups. It was a good time.
Yeah, closed out with Less Than Jake. Hashtag.
But they don't. But they don't have Panic Switch by Silver Sun pickups on the game, and that's
No.
much better.
Oh, I love that last song. Lazy Eye? Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good song.
Yeah, but it's not better than Panic Switch.
I don't know, man.
There's some riffs in there I love.
That's my personally favorite song, by the way.
I like Panic Switch a lot better. It's much more,
I have to check it out.
really,
It's harder.
more upbeat.
It sounds like a harder song. It sounds like a band. It sounds like a heavy metal band.
Yeah, it does.
No, that's Kill Switch Engage.
That
you're thinking
okay?
of, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of.
It's too intense for me.
That's way.
Yeah,
too
it's too intense for me too. I don't like it.
Yeah, killing is.
I don't like it. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
Feels
trying to
like
say.
music,
Way too
you
much
sort of
murder.
relax,
Way too much murder.
Killing is.
That's why I don't like rap music.
But there's a song by Rage Against the Machine, which is pretty violent too.
Killing in the Name of.
Yeah.
And
That's a good song.
That's a great song.
That sounded very violent.
But there's no visual killing like
there?
what you see on TV.
It's talking about
It's all
the
about
people in the world that
Some-
kill in the name
some
of
of those-
religion, politics.
Yeah, some of
Yes,
those that run
things.
forces are the same that
The
burn crosses. Yeah, guys.
talking about the Republican Party mostly.
Yeah,
That's a powerful song. That's a really powerful
yeah, because the
song.
Republican Party was like the ones known as the KKK. Oh wait, no, that was the Democratic Party.
Before.
No, forget
that was-
things switch in the 60s.
Who was the longest serving senator for the
switched.
Democratic Party? Senator Byrd?
That
Yeah,
brings
Byrd
up.
was-
That brings up.
He was involved in the KKK.
There are those
Yeah.
old Southern
Oh my
Democrats.
goodness.
There's the truth about that. But in the 60s, segregation was championed by the Republicans, and not so
Who
much
was
by the
who was
Democrats.
Eisenhower? Is like, hey, Wallace,
You
F
go-
you.
You can go as far back in time as you want, and you can find what people were for or against. But in modern America, Republicans were against civil rights,
Okay,
and Democrats were for it.
I call a fractal mind's audible here. I want to know.
Was there a flag on the play?
Flag on the play.
Okay.
I want to know the history of both of you guys right now. You're Republican.
I am classically liberal. I'll put it that way.
Classically
Liberal
liberal.
Yeah.
economically.
So you're
No,
like me.
classically
Okay.
liberal.
So I don't like to be classified as a certain party. You don't like to be that either.
No, I don't. I'm pretty sure none of us want to be
Yeah.
classified with
Forget
popular
parties.
opinion that
Okay.
is manufactured for
Very good. I like
Mainstream
that.
bogus
consumption.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
exactly.
I like that.
Populist opinion.
All right,
That's
so
because populist opinion should not dictate individual lives.
thank you, Al. Right there, Kevin. That's like my music motto right there. Like
What have I said that opposed your views or something?
No,
Kevin,
like that,
we
that
got
just
we
I'm
got
sorry,
the
but, like,
Hail Fuhrer Kevin over here. Fuhrer.
that statement right there is just like me in a nutshell of like my taste in music. Like doesn't fucking matter who what the popular people think. It's all about what you love.
It's not always all about the bass or the Jonas Brothers
that's a
or
product
One
of
Direction.
Gating what is already there, but it's a matter of standing up for what you believe in. So
Yeah,
it's
you
one
believe.
thing to say that I don't like what's popular. Okay, what do you stand for? That's the key. What do you stand for, not what don't you stand for, or what are you against? What are you about?
I'm about my own self. Just doing as I please. I'm a guy that really does not feel that, and I'm not saying I have or I haven't. Well, allegedly I have not paid for a single fishing permit in my whole entire life in Florida, but I fished all the time.
I have a lifetime
Why?
saltwater license.
Why should I?
Yeah,
Why should I pay to catch a fish?
I got it before they stopped
Silly.
doing that in Florida. My dad's like, he needs to get this before he doesn't have that
Yeah,
option
it's
anymore.
cheaper that way too.
Exactly. I never worry about it.
The cheapest way is not
It's so
getting one.
stupid.
Period.
Why? Oh, I get it. God, this whole system's fucked up.
No, that's
okay.
at the state level too.
So, but you seem to side with Republicans a lot. That whenever,
But the Republicans aren't really like that either.
Okay, go on. I'm just.
All right, so you seem to side with
Because there's
Republic-
people like the Jeb
but-
Bush, John McCain Republicans
Okay.
that they
who's
want.
that governor from New York that you liked? Because I liked him too.
There's no
Giovanni?
governor. That's Rudy Giuliani, who's
Yeah,
mayor
yeah.
of New York City.
Sorry, okay,
wasn't
sorry,
mayor.
sorry.
All right.
I
Everybody
liked
likes
him
me.
too.
Everybody
Yeah,
likes. He
really
was in the
cool.
news
He should've
recently.
been-
Recently, what did he do?
He
Question?
basically said that he had no love, or he basically said the president doesn't
Love
love
America.
America,
And
in
let's
his
talk-
opinion.
All right, wait. Let's go on with what James was saying. We're gonna get back to that.
What am I supposed to say?
You were
asked-
saying you like Rudy
I
Giuliani,
like him. He's pretty cool. Like when
but he was tough
Well,
on
sure,
crime.
Originally, you were.
To Brendon's point, he was tough on crime.
He was tough on crime.
Yeah, as
Yep.
he should.
The broken
Crime is
windows
bad.
policy.
Crime is
That's-
bad, okay. But at the same time, as a classical liberal like
Okay.
myself,
Okay.
there shouldn't be so many laws putting people in jail for, like, say, drug possession of...
Well, yeah. I mean,
But can we say that a lot of the reason that New York City got cleaned up was because
Of
the
Rudy
personal-
Giuliani.
personal
oh, he did.
liberties up until what was it Pataki that was last? Who was the last governor?
Bloomberg was
Bloomberg-
after Giuliani, yeah.
Bloomberg was after Giuliani. So you had a clean New York City, but you had things like stop and frisk, where someone was just walking.
But that
around.
was Bloomberg's
That's
deal.
fine, but regardless, that was a right Republican independent.
But 9/11 happened under Giuliani's watch.
But that doesn't.
Wow.
Heavy
Well,
news.
I don't know what that has to do with what I'm saying.
I'm just throwing it
but
out
what I'm
there.
saying is, as somebody that's for personal liberties, a lot of the reason that New York City was cleaned up in the way it was, a modern example would be stop and frisk, where people were walking randomly and police officers were allowed to come up to you and just randomly ask, "What do you have on you?" and frisk you. Stop
But that
and
was
frisk.
that was
They
after
did
the.
that in
But
New York.
regardless,
That was
you're right.
after
That's not Giuliani. I'm not
Giuliani.
talking about
Yeah.
Giuliani. We're talking about right wing, left wing. We're talking about Republicans, Democrats policy. That's a more conservative policy, and to this day, it's still championed by conservatives. The idea that stop and frisk had a major role in crime reduction in New York City. Now, I'm
And
not.
so did
I don't
banning
care.
sodas.
I don't. Yeah, but I
Banning
don't care.
sodas
I
is
don't
a
care
good
about
idea.
the people's names.
That's Bloomberg.
I don't care about the people's names. What it comes down to is the whole right-left thing, which is, I think, what you were originally getting to. Is that he's more to the right, I'm more to the left.
That's what I was kind of
talking
going
about
for,
personal
yeah.
liberties.
Yeah.
We're talking about personal liberties, and
Yeah.
you're about protecting yourself. Would you be okay with walking around the city and have a police officer come up to you and say, "Hey, sir, you have no say in whether or not I do this, but I'm going to stop. I'm going to frisk you and see what you have on you."
I would not be okay with
Okay, well, thank you. I didn't think you would be. So when we
That's
talk
what
about
I got to in the first place.
But when we're talking about personal liberties, we have to be serious about what that means in terms of policy.
Sure.
And when it comes to policy, personal liberty means not allowing things like that to happen.
Definitely.
And under
It's very important.
right conservative leadership, those things were allowed to happen. So when we talk about Giuliani and we talk about
See, but that was Bloomberg. Yeah.
But that's fine. Giuliani was great. You can say what you want
Did
about Giuliani.
Did
He's a
Giuliani
quote.
have that?
No, Bloomberg did.
Okay.
But
And he was
Bloomberg pretended to be a Republican to
Pretend.
carry off the wave of
Oh, he's
Giuliani.
absolutely
Gotcha.
a Republican.
But
Bloomberg's a
Bloomberg later
Republican.
on became a liberal.
To this day, who
And
supports
he was pro
who
the-
stops who is a proponent of stop and frisk to this day? It's Republicans in this country. It's not Democrats. The
That
people
surprises me.
today. You have
Well-
who's the governor of New York now?
No, I guess
Andrew
that makes
Cuomo.
sense.
No, it's not Como. New York City. My bad.
Okay, the mayor of, I'm pretty sure it's still, oh no, de
It's
Blasio.
de Blasio.
And now
De
New York
Blasio's
City
not-
is in a huge debacle because of de Blasio.
No, wait. De Blasio is stop and frisk. So you have this debate right now between people on the left and the right. Stop and frisk. The right is a proponent of stop and frisk, where the left isn't, saying that's an infringement of personal liberties. So if you're going to say you're a proponent of individual rights, you can't couple that with being to the right or being Republican, because it's just not true.
And de Blasio is a self-proclaimed socialist.
Well, first off, de Blasio, I think over the course of the past 12 days last month, or there was a course of 12 days last month, where New York City had 0 murders, which was a record. There were no murders over the course of 12 days or 11 days, which has never happened.
It's like Ice Cube had that song "Today Was a Good Day." New York City had that. They could have made a song. Last week was a good
almost
week.
Damn near 2 weeks.
Wow.
So
Are they still wait? So
de Blasio's
it
gotten
ended
into a lot of trouble because
this
there was a
weekend?
case where a man was choked and killed by a police officer
Oh,
after
shit.
mildly resisting arrest. And
Oh,
de
Talking about Eric Garner.
Eric Garner.
Yeah.
That was a
And,
big
and
deal.
what happened was, it was a huge deal, and what happened was de Blasio played both sides. He said, you know what, I can see where everybody's coming from here, and he didn't just automatically jump to the side of law enforcement. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. Law enforcement is a great thing in this country, but in a case where someone is choked out and killed,
it's needed.
that you need to have a objective stance on what happened. And in this case, I mean, it's
Well,
obviously a
the
matter of
entire
opinion.
country had an objective stance to what happened. The majority of the country did have an objective stance to what the police department did, as opposed to what
And
happened
was
in
that
Missouri
stance?
and Ferguson.
And what was that stance?
They said that the cop should have been punished. And
Exactly.
They said what
so
the
what
cops
de
was wrong.
Blasio was punished
was
for
wrong.
was the fact that he
How do
didn't
you
stand.
punish the police?
But here's the thing.
Fire him!
I want to get to the point that we're getting at when we say that de Blasio is somehow in some sort of huge situation in New York City. The reason he's in this huge situation in New York City is because he took the right perspective and the right view of the situation, saying that this was a fucked up situation where a man was killed unjustifiably, and law enforcement thinks that they should have the right just to be sided with because they're law enforcement.
Yeah.
And in New York City, they got mad at de Blasio for not siding with law enforcement and causing this huge uproar because he questioned what law enforcement was doing. Now, that's not a country I want to live in, where law enforcement is automatically given
Police, so
the,
you don't want to live in a police state.
we don't,
No,
and,
no.
and that's why de Blasio is in the situation. It's, regardless of de Blasio's policy, if you agree with him or you don't agree with him.
Well, that's
but
actually
de Blasio,
that's actually a very interesting question. So, by being in a police state, it would be the police are always right.
When a
The police is the authority, and you do it as the authority wishes.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Okay.
The rule of law, where it pertains to protecting individual liberties, is no longer important. What matters is what the state wants, and it's enforced by force.
Yeah, that's never a good thing.
And that's not a good thing.
That's never good.
And that's right now we don't have that by any
No,
stretch of the
of course
imagination.
But you see it more and more,
We see it more and more, and
especially with MRAPs on the streets.
and what we're afraid of is a slippery slope situation where, at what point does what we see now as being troubling become not the exception but the rule?
I think we're more like the government is going to have more control more than just, I don't know, the police don't see
It's a different deal in different locales too, because as far as when you're talking about more country towns, country cities, as opposed to big metropolitan areas, the sheriffs are really understood as the guys that take care of law enforcement. Sheriffs are much more open to the interpretation of the Constitution that protects our civil liberties than municipal police departments are. Municipal departments are more focused on quotas and having you do what they say because it's a hassle if you don't do otherwise.
Okay.
Sheriff's departments, not as much. And it also depends on, like I said, different locales. You're talking about New York City for one, or you can talk about LA with the LA Police Department, which basically is known more as a police department that rough hands people just knowingly. People, this is kind of understood by everybody.
Yeah.
They just if you're in the wrong neighborhood, they will push you out of the neighborhood, which keeps, people that might not necessarily need to be in the neighborhood
Away.
better. It keeps the property values up better and keeps the neighborhood happy because they want to live in what they consider a safe neighborhood.
Sure, yeah. We're in a pretty safe neighborhood. That's what triggered us to this location.
There's no babies walking around 3 o'clock in the morning talking to you.
I've been enjoying a nice morning run for the last couple of days, and that's been nice running around the neighborhood. And I run by a couple of cops, actually. We have a couple of neighbors that are cops. I don't know if you know that.
You shouldn't yell out "F that police" to the cops.
I
though.
probably shouldn't. I don't know why I do, but
You're listening to your mixtapes.
Yeah, I actually did do that this morning when I did run. I did sing along to a couple songs. But
Nice.
do you want to hear an interesting story about work?
Sure.
There was a customer that I was helping a couple look at a couple electronics at our place of work, and I was helping them, and the guy was looking at the electronics, but the girl was giving a lot of attention to me. She kept eyeing me, looking at me, and
She's giving off a vibe.
exactly.
I hear what you're saying
And
loud and clear.
as I'm talking, I usually look at the guy when the customers go to my counter, look at the product that they're looking at. It's usually the guys that are interested in the product.
Yeah.
It's usually the guys that you look at to explain the product and explain the details of it. This time, the guy was just looking at the screen, and the girl was the one that was kind of giving me attention. So I was like,
No, chick was wanting you to explain the D, but not details.
That's
Gotcha.
how I was feeling.
Mhm.
I was looking at her too, and she kept looking at me, and the guy was acting kind of unassured. He didn't know what he was really talking about, and I would correct him, and the girl was like,
She
was
must
aware
not.
of
She
that.
must not like her boyfriend. She should just break up with him and go with you. But
That's how I feel.
that's a funny thing about chicks. They want to complain about what they make and complain about guys making more than them. It's just a funny world we live in.
It is a funny world.
They're never satisfied.
They're never
That's the funny
satisfied.
thing about women.
That's
Men,
right.
men, we can be satisfied. Women, not so much.
How are you satisfied?
Are you talking to me or just the figurative chick that you're still imagining about? How am I satisfied? I'll explain. I'm satisfied if I'm feeling whole. I have nothing to worry about.
Okay, what's your
That's
whole?
what satisfies me. Just whole, my bills are paid. I got some spare scratch to play around with.
Gotcha.
And,
So you feel complete, you.
Yeah, I know
nothing
that
on your shoulders.
I got something to do, and I got the means to do it. That's my satisfaction.
That's what, yeah.
I'm not asking a whole lot. I'm not asking for nice Michael Kors bag to match my Michael Kors heels. You know.
You do look pretty good in those, by the way.
Yeah. They could have been an inch higher, but my ankles can only handle so much.
Yeah, I mean, you're still starting out with them. You don't want to go hard all the way.
My Michael Kors starter kit heels. Kitten
Starter
heels.
kit.
That's why they're an inch tall.
Oh my goodness. Jeez. What else is going on? You got anything going on, Kev?
I'm just listening right now.
Hey, the Keystone Pipeline was vetoed. What do you think about that, Brendon?
What the fuck is that?
I kind of wish it was.
That's the pipeline
approved.
in Alaska, right?
No, that's a pipeline that's supposed to send Canadian tar sands to be refined in Texas, so we can sell it to
To
China.
create more jobs and have something else to sell. There's no reason not to do it.
But to me, the biggest reason you approve this is for geopolitical purposes. This is what happened.
Nothing. Keep on going.
Are you guys having a little joke about me?
You and James dug yourself a hole, no big deal. Go ahead.
All right, whatever.
We have a
I don't know what
we have
kind of dirty minds you're
We
talking
have
about.
a female viewer.
That's fine with me. I don't care.
Go ahead.
I've been married once. I know what it's like, and I don't care about what women think. 2.
Oh my god. You're just digging yourself. This is someone who respected you, and that level's going down.
I'm sure she still respects me. I'm sure it's not lost. Anyway, my biggest reason why you approve more oil production in North America, because it's more oil production in North America. That's geopolitical rules number 1. Instead of getting your oil transported to you from overseas, you can actually make it in your own continent.
Yeah.
My only issue with this whole conversation is how the debate's been framed, as if this oil is somehow going to be produced in Canada and used in the United States. As you said, it'll be shipped off to China or India or Europe. It will be used here. It will create jobs, and it will make the United States, Canada, North America a stronger power in energy production. And that's important, and I support that. But let's... Not that Al said this is the case, but when you hear that somehow by producing oil in Canada, having it refined here, or extracting in Canada, having it refined here, that somehow we're all of a sudden going to have all this oil at our disposal that's going to make your price at the pump cheaper. That's not the case, and anybody that says that is the case is lying to you, and they are far more intelligent. They are intelligent people, and they know they're lying to you. Remember that. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it.
Well, because at the end of the day, say if all hell breaks loose, and this is what I mean by geopolitical, if all hell breaks loose and we aren't shipping it to China anymore because China's not a fan of ours or something else is going on, guess what? Mm-hmm. That's our oil to deal with. That wasn't pipelined to us in the first place, but we have other pipelines going through. And
as a way to position ourselves strategically in the future, it is an advantage. The chip we have on our side, it's important, it's good. For the most part, you have people that what their main argument is that the way we should be producing energy in this country isn't through a finite resource. That we need to start taking advantage of things like solar power.
On an individual level.
Energy that's cleaner. Energy that's cleaner, too. And that is their argument.
Solar.
And that the solar, that's exactly that's what I just said. Wind. And by continuing to
rainbows.
entrench ourselves, it's not rainbows, these are things that are very
unicorns.
real. They can be done.
Hey, I was saying actual
No. What Al is trying to do is accurate. These energy sources aren't viable energy sources.
They are viable,
They're
but
just
they
not
should be
economic-
subsidized by the government.
Yeah, they're not economically competitive right now. And that's fine. Throughout history, things that haven't been competitive in the market have been subsidized by the government, and they have gotten a solid foundation where they can compete with things that are in the market that aren't using government subsidies.
Like
but maybe
healthcare.
not be as good. That's change the subject all you want. That's fine. But
I'm still talking about
things
subsidies.
like solar power,
Like retirements.
things like different alternative
wrong?
energies are very good things, and things like global warming are realities that we have to deal with. They're not pseudoscience.
Isn't that the cycle of the world, though?
No, it's not. In fact, this past week, the leading climate change denialist was actually debunked and caught getting most of his funds from corporations that were benefited by his research, saying that global warming wasn't real. You know, coal industries and these industries that produced carbon emissions that contribute to global warming.
But like
this is not. It's a reality, and we have to take it seriously.
But you guys, you're missing the whole point of what you try to frame as climate change as to what actually is pollution. All right, it's obvious that China is like the main polluter in the world. It's obvious that they have to wear masks when they go outside.
That's right,
in a lot
but
of cities.
we were at that stage at one point too, and you're right. In
Certain places of America,
in modernity, in modern times, yes, China and India are producing more carbon emissions in the United States and Europe. There's no doubt about it.
As someone
but
who's
as far
been
as
over
CO2,
there, I would say that China is so much dirtier than India.
you're right, but we're not living in 1900s.
But we're penalizing ourselves.
We are penalizing
to their standards.
That's a political issue, though. But as far as the amount of carbon that has been emitted by Europe and the United States is equivalent to the amount that's been emitted by China and India. Sure. It's just that we're in different stages of our development. Now, whether or not we're going to penalize or try to get China and India to reduce their emissions compared to ours right now is the real issue, because what we have is a situation where China and India are saying, well, you guys were allowed to grow and do it cheaply because you didn't have to worry about reducing your amount of carbon as you were doing it. Mm-hmm. Why should we have to do it? And that's the issue we have now. And
is that really like...
That's the main problem, is because we developed in the 1900s, early 1900s. China and India are developing now. Mm-hmm. So what they're saying is, you want to curtail our ability to grow when you guys already did it, and you guys could actually integrate the cost of development into your economy over a long period of time, whereas we're trying to do this on the onset. That's not fair to us. And I'm not saying that we should buy into that argument, but that's their reason for it, and that's what we're dealing with, is trying to find a balance between allowing them to grow the way we grew.
We're policing them when we shouldn't be concerned about them. They should be concerned about their own pollution.
The issue is that we know that carbon emissions cause global warming, but at the same time,
carbon emissions cause pollution
is what brings up standards of living, especially in industrializing countries. So we can't deny them the right to industrialize when it's going to bring up their standard of living, but at the same time say that what you're doing is causing global warming and it hurts us. So we're trying to strike a balance between the two. We're saying, we want you to industrialize and develop your people and grow a middle class where you guys can buy things and enjoy a better standard of living. But at the same time, we want you not to have so much pollution.
All right, let me just get to my point.
That's the main issue. That's the realistic issue. There's no debating that.
There is a debate, because it's the way that climate change is framed, as opposed to pollution, and where pollution is densely created in densely populated areas. We try to understand as climate change is something that is happening. It's going to keep happening because there's this population in the world. But the immediate reality of pollution is it affects where it's created, and especially
that's not the truth. Though it does affect.
That's the problem. That's the only problem there is. That's the only problem there is.
No, there isn't. When CO2 emissions, when you have CO2 in the atmosphere, it allows more light and heat into.
No, it allows plants to grow.
And we have global warming. We know that's the case. Over the past 10, 15 years, we can scientifically show that the Earth has gotten warmer, that the polar ice caps are melting, that these things are
that
affecting...
track through history that's a repetition, like it's a cycle that the...
No, it's not. But
isn't it?
No, it has happened, but the
climate has never changed before climate change.
Look at this. Look at it like this. If you've taken chemistry, when you put a drop of acid into a solution, it changes the makeup of the solution completely, even if it's just a little tiny bit.
Sure.
Now, that's the same thing with CO2.
Oh, my gosh.
CO2, even though it's a little bit, it changes the composition of the chemical structure to the point where it changes it completely and allows something to happen.
2 more years, we're all going to be mutants.
We're not going to all be mutants, but what's going to happen is where the Earth's getting warmer. We're going to have more extreme weather events. You're going to have more increased.
There's more extreme weather events because people are crybabies.
So
the scientific consensus is that this is happening.
So
it's not a debate. It's not a
we
question.
live in Florida.
The majority of scientists in the world.
Right.
Here's the thing about scientific research and funding. For the most part, scientific research and funding goes the way that the money takes them. So if you have people funding your research, then people are like, all right, we'll look into this in a certain way to make it advantageous to what you want us to see, because that's what the money wants. Global warming.
Money wants what it wants, like Selena Gomez said.
The research that goes into global warming doesn't produce any sort of monetary gain for anybody. It's just people looking at the empirical facts.
It locks markets.
It's looking at the empirical facts, but a scientist or a professor at a university doesn't give a fuck about markets. They're looking. They're
hedge
looking
fund
at the
managers
science.
do, though.
They do, and exactly in their research that has been. The money that the hedge
So when
funds
you have
managers-
people like Tom Steyer that funds a lot of Democrats. That
but that has nothing to do
who
with
just
what I'm talking about.
praise
It's
and
nothing to do
worship
with what I'm talking about.
global warming.
Right.
It does.
Empirical research has shown
It locks
that
certain
we
markets.
have global warming is caused by CO2
Wait.
emissions. That
Pause.
global
Pause.
warming.
We got a flag on the play.
what are you worried about? What is
This gets back to the Keystone Pipeline, and what we were talking about was why people on the left are against it, is because it's continued.
The left
It's,
is.
What is
it's
this-
continued investment in
What is
an
the
energy
issue?
resource.
Okay.
The issue is very clear, James. That it's
I
continued.
missed this part.
All right,
I missed what
all
we
right,
were talking
Keystone
about. Sorry.
Pipeline is about transporting oil
Okay.
from Canada down to Texas. To
a lot
be refined.
safer than
All right, let me finish
the
my-
method
That's
that
fine.
it's
It's
being
not about. I don't
transported
give a
right
shit
now.
about oil
It doesn't
spills.
care about oil
That's not the
spills,
point. That's not what I'm.
trains exploding,
That's not what I'm
whatever.
talking about, though.
Which is way
The
worse.
What the left is worried about is
They're not
that
worried.
yes, they are worried.
They're-
The left is the only group that's worried about this. Where the right
I
keeps
keep forgetting which was the left and the right, so every
All right.
time I hear it,
All
I'm
right,
just like,
all right.
okay,
No one.
cool.
First off, I'm not to the left.
He's
It's just common
illiberal about
sense.
production.
I'm common. It's common sense.
That's the whole point
Is
of
that
the climate change
fire-
narrative.
The using of fossil fuels contributes to carbon emissions,
Okay.
and having a pipeline that transports oil to Texas and having that something that's being approved is something that promotes the burning of fossil fuels,
Okay.
which contribute to carbon emissions.
I have a question
All right?
for Kevin.
So,
I have a
no.
question for Kevin.
Let me finish what I'm saying. Let me finish my point. So, what the left's issue is that
This is
by
Biden.
continuing investment in government approval of this sort of energy use, we're contributing to global warming.
Okay.
Because ultimately, those oils, fuel,
Sure.
the fossil fuels that will be transported is something
used.
that's going to be contribute to pollution
Makes
in
sense.
carbon emissions.
Okay.
So, and that's a fact. And I'm not saying that I support the Keystone Pipeline, but
We
I'm
get what
saying
you're
that there's
saying.
a valid argument. There's a valid argument against it because people want to use solar power, they want to use biofuel,
Yeah,
they
solar
want to
power.
use hydrogen, they want to use wind. That's what they want to see the government using its power to push certain things.
Yeah, basically forcing you to do stuff that you might not be able to do with your own monetary
Okay, can I ask you
monetary
something?
situation.
So wait.
When industrialization started in this country, you had child laborers, you had people working
Okay.
60-hour work
Sure.
weeks. That's what the market dictated. That was
So there's
acceptable.
high demand,
It was
yeah.
high demand and it was allowed. It was the government that stepped in and said, you know what, you can't use children to work in factories, and you can't force people to work 60 hours a week for close to nothing.
Okay.
So that's interjection in the market, because if the market was allowed to do what it wanted, that's what it would do.
Okay.
It would use the cheapest labor. So to say something like, well, this is the government stepping in, like, it's this horrible fucking thing, because the market somehow is this ethical thing that just makes things perfect, is bullshit. It's always been bullshit, and the government's always stepped in to fix it and correct it. The market is
Why are
good.
we so worried the government's going to ruin it? Like,
Because people on the left want to or the right want to let the market dictate everything. The market dictates everything. The government doesn't step in. The market and the government work together. The market has.
why do we have this issue?
We don't have an issue. It's a common sense thing. You allow the market to work the way it works, which is to maximize supply and demand, but then you have government step in when it's overstepped its bounds. That's common sense. The market works to some degree, but it uses the human being as a resource.
Has the government overstepped its bounds in any way when it comes to currency, markets, and...
Of course it does, but the thing is, that's the issue.
But that's a cost to the markets.
But
that's a cost to employment.
The alternative is let the market do what it wants because the market looks at the human being as a resource. It's a resource to extract profits.
The government
So
does
if you
not
allow
look
the
at
market-
the human being
if-
as a resource.
No, it
Are you
doesn't.
kidding me?
No, because the government in its government in its current formation.
It looks at the human being like the lamest resource there is, and that's a vote.
No, stop. All right. I want to make a point, real quick.
You guys keep talking. Come on.
All right. I'm gonna make a point.
How many points you gotta make? I want to ask Kevin a couple of simple
I just want to
questions.
say, the government isn't great or good, but the thing is, government isn't great or good because the populace isn't great or good. The way this country was founded and the way democracy should work is that the government is a representation of the people. So if it ever stops being a representation of the people, then it stopped to serve its purpose.
Okay.
And the problem isn't that the government is inherently bad, it's just that somehow we've allowed it to become something that it shouldn't be. Government should always be the representation of the people's will in some form or faction.
As the Russians would say, the Narodnya Voya.
So what year do you think that happened? What year do you think it happened that the government separated?
Just really overstepped its bounds, 1917.
1970. What
He's talking about the Federal Reserve.
Federal Reserve, World
Jekyll
War
Island,
I,
Federal Reserve.
all this other stuff.
Alright,
But I just have two questions to ask Kevin. Kevin, what do you breathe?
Oxygen.
What do plants breathe?
Carbon dioxide.
Okay. All right. When you work out, what do? You sweat?
Yeah.
But after breathing?
Yeah.
You get a little bit dirty?
Uh-huh.
Sometimes for production, you get your hands dirty, you sweat a little bit. It's not clean, but you produce. You're trying to produce a result. Okay. All right? My point is when you have too many people trying to produce a forced result, especially by government, in a dense area, you're going to have really a dirty area.
But it was
should be the main focus.
It was equally dirty under non-government interaction in the United States and Europe. It was equally dirty.
It was never.
That's not the truth. You have more people in one place, so obviously it's going to be a little bit dirtier.
Okay,
but
even with your robber barons that you're trying to mention.
The same methods that are used in China and India were used in the United States and Europe to a greater degree with far less people, but we contributed to the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere.
You are completely wrong about what you're talking about.
I'm not completely wrong.
In
That's
China,
absolutely true.
I seen this great infographic about how much.
There absolutely is a dense
I
population.
seen this great infographic about the amount of concrete that China has used in the last 3 years as opposed to the amount of concrete we've used in the last 100 years from 2000
Fine, but
to
we're talking about the
1900.
process
They
of-
used 3 times as much concrete in the last 3 years as we did in 100
But
years.
we're talking about changing
So
from a
that is
rural-
incorrect.
That's not incorrect.
That is incorrect. It's
You're
incorrect by
arguing
the
a different
stats.
point. You're arguing a different point.
What's the
When
use of concrete equal to?
Because it was a force used. It was a force used
What he's saying they are
by
making-
the government demand.
They're using
in
more
China.
resources and having more pollution than
And
the
we're
US or
capping
Europe ever had.
ourselves.
And that's fine. That's the
For
truth.
them to try to meet our
That's
goals.
the truth. That's fine, but that's not the point. That's the end
Then what is
goal
the point?
isn't the amount of pollution.
Just cap ourselves?
No, it's not. I'm not saying to cap ourselves. What I'm saying
That's what the
is-
government's saying.
No,
That
it's
sounds
not
dirty.
what the government's
What
saying.
There's been a
What
cap
it
and
takes-
trade bill passed
No.
in the Democratic
God,
House in
you're arguing
2000.
so many different points that have nothing to do with anything. All right, so what you have is
Let the
a
listeners
situation.
decide.
Can we
you
talk
That's
happy
what.
things?
No, I just want to make a point real quick. Again, all right.
Did you guys like my point? Just straight to the point.
That's straight to the point because it's simple and stupid.
Shots fired.
Shots are fired. What it takes to take
Those
a-
damn plants breathing carbon dioxide and producing us oxygen so we can keep polluting the world.
What it takes to
Very
bring a
stupid.
people out of a rural
Damn nature.
society to an industrial society is going to be magnified by the amount of people you have. So obviously, the United States, where it didn't have 1 billion people, is going to produce a lot less pollution and use a lot less resources in a country that's transforming from a rural society to an industrial society with 1 billion people.
So why do
So
we
when
keep
you look at
blaming ourselves?
stop. When you look at the pure numbers, the amount of cement used or pollution, obviously Obviously, they're going to be using more because there's a billion of those guys. There's a billion people, obviously, but that's not the question.
How do you explain the pyramids?
What China's trying to say is, as they're trying to move their population from a rural society to an industrial society with a billion people, they shouldn't be strangleholded. They shouldn't be contained by rules and regulations that Europe and the United States didn't have to abide to. So what they're saying is, we're at a stage that you were 100 years ago, but with a billion people, and you're asking us to curtail our emissions when we're trying to bring our people into a middle class and have a different standard of living. Obviously, when you have that sort of situation, they're going to produce more pollution and they're going to use more resources than we ever did. That's just fucking common sense. I'm not saying that makes it right, but that's their argument. So you can say they've used more cement. Of course there's a billion of the motherfuckers compared to 50 million of what we had. Of course they use more cement than we ever did. That's not the point.
Yeah, but we have way more amenities than they do.
And you're talking policy with a country that we can't dictate our will over. You have to listen to their point of view, and you have to say, you know what, we did do this too. How do we find common ground? How do we find a way to curtail your emissions at the same time allow you to develop the way we did without any regulation? That's the fucking issue. That's the issue. That's the issue.
So, where are we?
First of all, in Brendon's point, we're talking about believing that China can bring a lot of their population into a middle class, which they're failing to do because they still have about 16, 17, 18 ghost cities that this concrete that I'm talking about built.
That one thing doesn't follow the other. That's what they're trying to do. And we're talking about policy. I'm not talking about whether or not their policy is working or if it's good policy. What I'm saying is when it comes to interacting with other countries and having them do something that we want them to do.
Why are we interacting with bad policy and setting standards for ourselves from
Because it's a real
countries?
issue that carbon emissions cause global warming. So we realize this, but their immediate concern is the development of a middle class and to rise up their rural population into a urban middle class where we are trying to curtail carbon emissions. Their immediate concern is their people. Yeah. Where we've advanced to the point where we've realized, you know what, carbon emissions are a bad thing and we have to start dealing with this. That's not their immediate concern. It's kind of like having age in society. It's kind of like having age in life. As you get older, you start to see things in a different way. And you say, you know what? This isn't good. We need to fix this. Yeah. You have the newcomer out there that's doing something completely stupid. And it's hurting the rest of the world, but they're so young and they're concerned with what's happening right away.
That America is such a younger nation compared to China.
But as far as the system that the world operates in, we are a grandfather.
It's so interesting how that happened.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's about systems.
That's such an ancient civilization.
Okay, final statements. All right, we're going to change the topic because the next one, there was something Brandon want to talk about today. It has to do with politics. So we're in the middle of it.
Might as well, yeah.
So, final statement about what the cement.
No, I don't even know what we're talking about.
Do you have any other final statements?
I just concede. I'm good with what I said.
Yeah. Alex said
I said they're the issue.
I'm for the Keystone Pipeline. All I'm saying is that liberals are against it because they're afraid of pollution and they want to promote policy that's green.
So.
I know, that's why I stand by it. I don't have to keep saying, I'm trying to make a point. I'm trying to make a point. My points.
So,
because reason is
all right, Brandon, you bring it up because you'll be able to describe it better and ask the question better. Okay. That we'll go right down. We'll go James, me, then Alex. Alex will be the last one.
I like this podcast a lot better than the last one because I was way more belligerent in the last one. Way more.
Since we're going to be playing Risk later, might as well
trying to keep my temperament
more political
down.
podcast than normal. So, Brandon, you asked the question. Now, do you want to give your viewpoint after the question, or do you want to hear our viewpoints?
I want to hear your
YouTube point.
All right.
There you go.
This week it was reported by The Intercept, which is a publication that's edited by Glenn Greenwald, who used to be with The Guardian, who's working with Edward Snowden, who was an NSA analyst who released classified information to the public that made him a wanted man by the United States government.
Bunch of libertarian folk.
I like libertarians.
Edward Snowden is now in exile in Moscow, who's protecting.
Is he still in Moscow?
He's still in Moscow.
So is my cousin. I talked to her today.
So,
BT Dubs.
What happened was Snowden released a bunch of documents that showed the NSA was. I don't want to put my subjective opinion into this, my subjective evaluation of this into this, but Snowden released documents that showed things that the NSA is and was doing that infringes or can be considered to be infringing on the personal liberties of U.S. citizens and citizens abroad. And what they did was Glenn Greenwald and Snowden worked together to release the information that Snowden ascertained during his time with the NSA in increments in order to get maximum benefit in the public sphere from the information that was being released. If you release it all at one time, you have a situation where it's just information overload, so they're releasing it little by little, and they're writing articles on The Intercept that kind of give you a condensed version of the great information that they actually have and is being released at any given moment. This past week, they released files and information that from the NSA that shows that the U.S. spy agencies, along with the British spy agencies, hacked into a Dutch company that makes SIM cards and the algorithms and encryption keys that protect phones for AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, T-Mobile, and I think it was 400 carriers throughout over 85 countries in the world. So the majority of SIM cards that are used in phones that the majority, if not all of our listeners are using. With these encryption codes, they can break into your phone and they can listen to every conversation, every text, any form of communication that you have without any court order or without approval from the telecom company that you use. Those telecom companies being Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, all of our major carriers.
Kevin had a recent Twitter battle with Verizon.
Okay, let's get.
So the point of this is, is this a good thing? The NSA is using this information in order to track down terrorists who would like to cause harm to the West. But at the same time, they're collecting this information and saving it and using it in a way that's been shown to be not in line with catching terrorists. It's more about people, political protesters. There's been evidence of using this information for things other than catching people that are looking to cause harm to this country.
Sounds like you wear a tinfoil blanket.
That may be true, but this is fact. This is a tinfoil blanket.
I'm just being a a-hole.
But we know this is true. Well, we know this is actually happening. This isn't tinfoil stuff.
This is definitely a big issue.
This is a big issue, and we know this is happening.
There's no reason for the government to ever track what we're doing.
There's a reason that these companies somehow allowed it, unknowing to them, that the SIM cards that they use, have these encryption codes on them.
Yeah.
There are reasons why, when you get corporations more and more involved with the government, those corporations are going to benefit from playing ball with the government.
Sure.
They're going to
be one.
Definitely Google. Microsoft.
They're going to basically
Apple.
get more of a market share because the market's going to be evaluated and understood, and then those major companies are going to.
Well, there's a big market in saying, "Hey, we're not signing with the government of this. We're for the customers," and that's where.
But they get snuffed out more and more, and these other companies just buy them out.
To what Al was saying, Google was started by Sergey Brin and
that other white dude.
Okay. Exactly. They went to Stanford University, and the money that was used to start the web crawler that Google uses for its search engine, the money that helped fund that was actually CIA fund money. The CIA and the United States intelligence has an investment firm that goes in and invests in IT companies and in technology companies and software companies in hopes to get sort of a foothold in these up and coming sort of technologies, so that they can be right there at the cutting edge of technology.
So you believe
And
it's a free market, but it's really not.
It's not. Google was funded by that CIA fund money, that CIA money, that investment money.
There's a
We
lot
know
of people that say the Taliban was funded
Well-
by CIA fund money, Charlie Wilson.
Now, whether
I don't know.
whether or not Google is actually a CIA project, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is the CIA and the United States intelligence had a hand in that. But we're kind of
I
digressing.
have a question to kind of what your point is. CIA money dirty money?
Like what?
Real quick.
What money? What?
Let's get back to that. It's CIA dirty money because it goes into.
What do you
but
mean?
here's
What
the thing.
money? Like money they're using? Money they're funded by? Money?
Should the CIA
The intentions of the money.
But let's get back to that. real quick.
Like,
Let's
what
stay on
context are we using
the point though for our viewers. Kevin,
Have you even talked more than 5 minutes? on the podcast?
Kevin gets off listening to us.
well, what's your opinion on
Yeah.
the NSA and British intelligence hacking the company
Don't you
that
even
makes
say anything
SIM
about James
cards
Bond.
that acts as a barrier, as
Welcome back, Kevin.
you can use those SIM cards in order to break into these phones in order to steal communication records. Is that something that you think should be allowed if it protects the United States from foreign terrorists, or do you think it's a slippery slope where if they're collecting all this information that somehow in the long run this could be used against us?
I do believe it would be a slippery slope after a while. If we could actually trust them and say that, sure, so as long as they're not like cracking down on little petty things, like you do hear some like illegal, I don't know, but if it's a plot to go blow up another building and kill thousands of more people, sure. But if they say, yeah, we heard them talking about a drug deal going down, yeah, that's still bad. But I mean, it just. I think once they start at the top and start saying, okay, we're going to go after the biggest and baddest crime, being terrorist attack, and then slippery slope, they might start work their way down and start using that to even get the smaller type of crimes, which, I mean, I know I have nothing to worry about. I'm pretty sure everyone in this room has nothing to worry about, but it's just like...
But if you know you're being watched at any given time, does that change how you communicate? If we start to accept the idea that anything we do can be intercepted or watched by somebody, and we may not know that it is being watched, but we know that it can be watched.
That's kind of
Does it-
Soviet Union,
Exactly.
circa
Does it
Cold
start
War.
to change how you communicate with people?
Yeah.
I think it would.
Exactly.
Yeah, it
Like
does.
you,
It
like you want to say,
absolutely
"Nah,
does.
I hope that person, you wish harm on someone, but it might just be out of spite. You might just be venting to someone.
Out of malice.
And context is always mistaken on social, not in social media so much, but when text messages.
Yeah.
Yeah, there can be a lot of mistaken context between me and Kevin's text messages.
That's very
Yeah.
true.
You want the D?
Very-
That can mean a lot of things.
Very ambiguous text messages.
Talking about type of milk.
Something I always bring up is Michael Foucault was a French philosopher who wrote a book called, I want to say it's Crime and Punishment.
No, that's
Dostoevsky.
yeah.
He wrote a book about punishment and the institution of power in France and throughout history. And one thing he brought up was the Panopticon, which is a prison where you had a watchtower in the middle, and around it you had a cylindrical structure with cells in it. Now, the prisoners couldn't see inside the watchtower in the middle. It was always, let's say, tinted in a way where you didn't know if you were being watched by the guard.
Okay.
But the very act of being,
The presence.
the
of-
idea of thinking that you're being thought or
Uh-huh.
being
Yeah.
seen, was enough to make people feel like they had to act a certain way.
Okay.
So you didn't know if that guard was watching you, but he could be watching you. So if that guard could be watching you, you better be on your best behavior. You're not going to break out because that
You should be
that
being
watchtower's
watched.
there.
Yeah.
That watchtower's there, and you better abide by the rule that's been set for you.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that a very similar situation where we have this idea that the government can be watching us at any time, that we should be the perfect citizen, that we should
Definitely.
act in a certain way, that
But
we
people
should...
still don't, regardless.
They don't, but that's because some people are ignorant to the fact
They're
that
very ignorant.
what's
and
going
their
on.
egos.
Now, if people are knowledgeable of the amount of surveillance that's going on in this country and going on in the world, and they knew that everything they're doing is being watched, you have the Tea Party, you have Occupy Wall Street, and whatever sort of new incarnation comes about in the future that's similar to that, these people, if they're knowledgeable, the government could be watching them, are they going to interact with each other the same way? Are they going to do the same things? They're not.
It's always nice, though, when you have a gun
It is nice when you have
to
a gun.
protect yourself.
I like
Against
swords.
who?
Because then you got
For
a
swords.
nice surveillance scope
I think guns
yourself.
promote.
Swords, man, come on. You're going to have a sword to a tank
See,
Can't have
like.
that. or
when
an
you
MRAP.
go mano a mano, a gun versus gun, that just could be. You're not. comparing
But anyway,
person
you're
to
all
person.
patterned out, so it doesn't matter. You're patterned out by data. To me, the way I see this whole data breach of how people interact is that what I've mentioned earlier. These companies that allow these data breaches to keep happening are the ones that's going to benefit the most from it because they see more in depth how people interact, how markets interact, how businesses interact. They'll get more into their interaction as opposed to other people that are vying for that business and interaction. They have to do do business more in a way where they have no clue on what the actual data is, so they can be wasting resources that people aren't going to buy, as opposed to the companies that know exactly to how many things, how many units are consumed. It's kind of way Disney likes to do what they're doing now with their little magic bands. They follow their customer. Yeah, they follow their customer whether they're in parks and riding the certain rides that they ride,
What are you talking
buying
about?
the certain
What's
foods.
the Magic Band?
Magic Band is basically a band that they give you
Yeah.
instead of a ticket now.
Okay.
You use it
They
for your
tag
fast
you.
passes.
Okay.
It has an RFID, a little sensor on
Yeah,
there.
that's smart.
Well, it's smart when you're a huge business like Disney to know what goes into waste and what goes into a product that's just going to sell, and you know what to replenish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have a better inventory. These other businesses, like the telecom companies or just more crony type of providers, they have a better understanding of inventory than people that are just hearing it on a daily basis of what people want. That's what I got against it, and that's what, to me, that's the biggest use out of it, as opposed to this fear that you're being watched. It's really a fear or a understanding that bigger business is tying in with government, which basically means fascism, and you're going to have just the market cornered to these specific people that abide by the government rules.
Yeah.
That's an issue. But I mean, as somebody who's concerned with individual liberties and the rights of an individual to make a choice, whether just to buy something or to pursue.
Yeah, I'm completely
something.
against that. Yeah,
Yeah,
because that stifles innovation.
It stifles, but you're seeing things in terms of a market all the time. Everything's about innovation, supply, demand, business, what they're doing. What about the person? What about the human being?
The human being, okay,
What about
the
the
human
person?
being lives in their own pursuit of happiness. Most of that happiness comes from material possessions or material transactions.
But should that be the case, though? I mean, we may.
If you want to travel, what do you need? You need money.
Yeah, but that's fine.
How do you get that money?
But-
Through a job. How's that job formed? Through good business practice.
Yeah,
When
but
somebody
that's-
has a better business practice than you might be out of a job, or you might get paid less because the company doesn't provide
That's
as good
true,
of benefits.
But that may have been the way of seeing the world when we didn't have such an abundant supply of things that was being.
But we seriously
We
don't
do.
have an
We have-
abundant
we have
supply.
we have so much being supplied to us right now that we don't know what to do with it. There's so much stuff being created and produced.
Yeah, we do
Yeah,
know
we
what to do
don't-
with it. We
we
cut
don't-
off the
we don't.
supply,
No, that we,
so
I
it
think
keeps
when
the
comes down-
value
when it
in
comes
demand.
Down, I mean, personal opinion here. What it comes down to is, what is it to be a human being? Is it so you can have more shit?
So you can enjoy your life.
So you can
Simple
have,
as
What is
that.
it to enjoy your life, though?
That's each
That's
person's
yeah,
own
exactly.
question to
That's each
answer.
person's own question to answer, but ultimately, we say that in a sort of way that, like, we can all figure
Oh
out
my
what we
God.
want in the world and we can just do what we want. But what is it to be happy? What is it to be content?
That no one can
It's
answer
not,
that.
but
It's more. Basically, the answer is more.
no, it's not more though.
Yeah.
It's not more though. If
What do you mean? There's no right answer to that. Every person
you can
has
say
their own answer.
But
you can say
predominantly
that.
right
Everyone has
answer
an
is
answer.
more.
But when we're talking about it
Like Don
within
Draper
the
said.
context of the market that produces
What
more,
market?
let me finish what I'm saying. A market that produces more so you can have more, so you can buy more so you can get more. That's
Yeah.
happiness.
People want you to buy the shit to make you think that you're happy.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying though. To make you think
Okay.
that you're happy. So what the market does is it produces a bunch of things that tells you you need this to be happy.
Yeah.
And what we do is we continuously search for these things, this fleeting happiness we get from them from purchasing them, and we realize that really doesn't make me happy. But then we buy something else, and we buy something else, and we're constantly forming identities in the things that we're
We
purchasing.
get that-
because it helps our
We
ego
get that
out.
high. We get that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just got this thing that makes
Exactly.
me connected.
Is
to
that
it.
real happiness?
I don't know. Like,
Yeah, it
when
is.
I buy
Okay.
when I buy my favorite band's new CD, like, yeah,
But
it feels
is
good.
it purchasing that thing that
It's
makes you
having
feel
it.
good?
When-
Or is it the actual music and where it takes you and what it makes you feel that
It
makes you
depends.
feel good?
It depends.
Is
It
the act of
depends
buying it?
on. It depends on the connection to the product. It depends if it's something that I'm personal about. If it's
That's
one
what I'm
of my favorite
saying.
bands, I
Is it
feel
the
like
act
yes.
of buying it that makes you happy,
It,
or is it what the music does to you that makes you happy?
it's if I'm giving money to someone, it means you've touched me, and I
But
felt
what I'm
that.
saying
You
is
got
that you've
happiness
touched.
from
I
that
got
person
happiness.
first.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's what I'm
exactly.
saying though. So it's not the act of buying it; it's
Uh-huh.
the fact that that music touched you
Yeah.
that makes you happy,
Uh-huh.
and you feel good about giving them money. But ultimately, that thing that you got, it wasn't about the fact that you purchased it and you ascertain this thing that makes you you. It's the feeling you get when you hear those drums go, and you hear that guitar go, and you hear those lyrics, and what that does to you emotionally, and what it does to you spiritually. That's what makes you happy. That's what's good about it.
Mhm.
It's not the fact that you just bought a product.
No.
It's the fact that this musician who's trying to convey an idea through some sort of
Thoughts.
artistic
Mhm.
expression, and you're receiving this expression and interpreting it is what makes you happy.
And that's one of the many forms of happiness.
Shout out to Greenhorn, because that's how I feel about that music right now.
Well, yeah. What I'm saying is that the things that make us most happy in life are the things that are spiritual and the things that make us.
What's up?
Those are the things that make us happy. It's not buying new things. It's being in
There's a
stuff.
fucking great song to go with this, and don't say anything.
All right, are we done
Listen,
with
Jake,
this? Are we
Robots
done
1,
with
Human
this point?
0. Listen to that song because
You
it's
did.
perfect for buying shit and feeling happy for buying stuff.
But nobody's happy when they're being surveillance. That's
Yeah,
the whole
correct.
point of this.
No one
All
likes
right,
that.
stop
Let's-
hacking into our
You know what?
SIM cards.
Let's just wrap this up because I feel like we've explored what we've explored from this podcast. I'm going to get to my pick. I watched a movie called Frank. Came out last year. It is a very interesting movie. It's unique. It stars a character called Frank, obviously, that stars Michael Fassbender. He wears a mask over his head in the entire movie, and he is the frontman of this band that's very experimental in a way. It's very different.
Flag on the play. I just want to mention something. What's the deal with these actors and their weird names like Benjamin Cumberbatch and Michael Fassbender?
German.
English. They're both English actors.
I thought he was German.
Fassbender.
No, he's German.
Is Fassbender
Yep.
German?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
Like, what's the deal with that? Regardless, back in the day, actors had more relatable names.
Because that's
Cool
exactly
names,
it.
though.
Hollywood wants you to be more relatable to that actor, so they changed their names to be more relatable.
Like John Wayne.
It's
John Wayne's
alive.
name wasn't actually, like, it was something else, wasn't it?
I can believe that. I could
Yeah.
actually definitely believe that. So, yeah.
My name's just Al. It's
Fuck you, Al! Get the fuck out of here. Go to the bathroom.
I gotta pee.
So I recommend Frank. It's on Netflix. I streamed it the other night. It's a great movie. Very different music. It's very, I would say, very indie, experimental, very out there kind of music that's being played. But it revolves around a character that is a keyboardist, and he writes really shitty, horrible music, and he falls in love with this band that Frank frontmans, and Maggie Gyllenhaal is the keyboardist and slash percussionist. I don't know. She does some weird shit in this the band. She's really weird in it, but it's a really cool, different movie. Frank, check it out. It's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, definitely watch it. It was a really cool movie. It's very energetic. It's very kinetic. It moves very fast. So the movie goes at a very good pace. Check it out.
Very cool.
So, Brendon, what's your pick for this week?
All right, my pick for this week is recently there was an article published in Nature Physics on the wave function of particles. And why this is interesting is that there's this debate, not a debate, what we see in quantum physics is a particle has two different states depending on how it's being observed.
Mm-hmm.
You have the wave function, you have the particle function. The particle function being the pellet, like it's like a dot in space, it's moving, and then you have the wave function where it's moving through space like the wave in an ocean.
Okay.
And there's this experiment done called the double slit experiment where you had a sheet with two slits through it, and behind that you had another sheet that was able to collect information from light particles, showing like dots. So to say you, like for example, say you had a paintball gun and you were shooting at a wall with two slits in it, and as you shot, there was another wall behind that where you saw where those paintballs went. And traditionally, you think if you shot a paintball gun at a sheet with two slits through it, or a cement wall with two slits through it, the back wall would show two lines.
Excuse Al.
That makes sense.
He had to use the recycling bin in the trash can.
That makes sense. What they found was when they shot electrons out of a gun through a sheet with two slits on it and a sheet behind that collected that information, that it was actually the particles were dispersed, the light was dispersed all over that back sheet. They couldn't make sense of it.
Are we talking about our grinds? You sick and tired?
No,
of
it's our
grind?
picks.
Pick.
I already picked my grind.
No, you,
So what happened was they put a measuring device by the two slits, and when those particles were being measured, they started to show a formation on that back sheet that looked like two lines. And what they found was that a particle does two separate things. It acts as a wave and it acts as a particle depending on whether or not it's being observed. And it made absolutely no sense. Everybody was flabbergasted. How could this be? If we watch it, the particle acts one way. If we don't watch it, it acts a different way. It's this fucking big thing that no one can make sense of. And what they found is a particle exists in two states, depending on its being observed. So the question is, does the individual observer have an effect on the universe or the thing that's being observed? And that was the big question. Einstein said, no, that can't be the case. This is just some formulation that we're using in order to understand physics, that it operates in two different places. Schrodinger, on the other hand, said, oh, yes, this does exist in two states.
yeah.
This has been the big debate. Is this inherent in nature, the wave-particle duality, or is it something that we just use to formulate the world?
Being an observer of something, you are stopping something. So you are essentially doing like a pause frame of that event happening. And in some sense, it is changing the event. Like with, what's that big particle effect?
The Hadron Collider?
Yes, exactly. That's a big event of where you can't be observant of it. Like, it's just revolving at the. You can't stop that.
Yeah,
So.
and they've actually shown that if you accelerate a particle, that it actually could travel through time.
Exactly.
Some crazy stuff, and that has been refuted and looked at. It's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's a whole nother
refuted
discussion.
past.
It's weird because it doesn't have the exact purpose that we want, which gets back probably to the point that you're trying to
The
make.
point is that this new article
You're not
in
just
Nature
observing.
Physics is that the way particle function is something that's inherent in the particle. It's not just the way we're observing it, or not. It's not just a framework that we're using to understand the particle. That a particle is in fact simultaneously both a wave and a particle, depending on if it's being observed.
Definitely.
Which means that the very act of observation at quantum levels has an effect on the universe.
Yep.
The very effect of watching something changes the physical makeup of the world around us when it comes to the quantum world, which is very mystical and crazy and beyond even comprehending. It challenges our understanding of cause and effect in a deterministic universe. It's out there. And this new article shows that quantum physics is leaning more towards the idea that this is a more inherent property of nature.
Cool.
And that's really fucking cool in my mind, and that's my pick for the week.
Awesome. What was the again?
It's an article on the wave.
Did you find it on Reddit?
No, it was actually
Hashtag Reddit.
an article in the New York Times.
Oh, cool.
It was an article in the New York Times. And it was they made a reference to the nature physics actual scientific report that was done by researchers that were outside the United States of Northern Australia.
Would you say some particles are naughty by nature?
They're naughty by nature because they do what they're not supposed to do.
Okay, that's good. That's
So
good.
what's the pick for you, Al?
Man, you guys always put me on the spot with something I just want to concentrate my
Oh my goodness.
affection towards. I'm not that kind of guy. I take it in stride. My pick for the week is simple. Okay, this is what I've liked that I've seen for the last week. All right, there's this meme out there, right? And it's a reference to 50 Shades of Grey, but the final reference is the desires, which can be anything, and it's so goofy. It shows like my desires are unconventional or something like that, and the chick's like, so show me. So the next frame they have them walking into a room, and it could be a dog just ironing a shirt, it could be a dog just kind of like sitting buried in the beach, it could just be a book that somebody likes about economics, it could be anything, but I just like it because it's silly, and that's why I like it. It's seriously like
That's great,
my
Al.
favorite meme.
All right,
That's my
awesome.
pick.
That's cool. A meme is your pick.
That's right. You guys talking about particles and whatnot.
All right. So Kev,
I'm gonna have a quick
There we go.
pick and a quick grind. I'm
Yeah.
gonna quick at both of them when it gets to be in the grind. as
Grind
well.
it out.
But the pick was probably just going to be, I forgot my original pick actually, honestly, but so I'm just going to go with Amazon Prime for having pretty good TV shows that they've come out with.
Didn't you do that last week?
I don't know if I said Alpha House, I was probably, but I didn't do, I didn't really get to talk too much about Bosch, so.
We know what your grind is, Kevin.
You. No,
Why is that?
Wait, that's my grind.
Well, the only reason I'm doing this again is because I forgot what my pick was to begin with. So, yeah, what they're coming out with on Amazon Prime. So
What about your GoPro? You got a GoPro.
Yeah,
Why isn't that
I
your
can't
pick?
use it because I have a memory card.
Oh, and you know what happens when you do get a memory card? They're going to watch us.
Oh.
Subatomically.
That's
Through
right.
encryption codes.
That's right. So you like Amazon
The government's
Prime?
really naughty by
Well,
nature.
With
Amazon
Amazon Prime, you can get that memory card in like next day delivery.
Yeah, they got the fast delivery.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's right. Free.
Yep.
All right. My grind is Russians from Sopot Bisky and Al over here.
It's Belarus.
I can't do it anymore. No more Russians.
No more Russians.
No Russians.
I'm believe it or not, guys. I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen, so
Damn
silly thing about you calling me a Russian. And I legally immigrated over here. Just not that it matters anymore.
No more Americans.
But-
All right. So, Brandon, what's your
Alright,
name?
my grind
Brandon,
is.
I have a grind.
It's not illegal immigrants.
It's not illegal immigrants.
I don't like hating things. I like liking things, and not hating things.
Well, I do have a hate this week.
Okay.
A grind.
That's
if
fine.
it's equivalent to a hate.
Yep.
Is it the
Judd
Free
Apatow is
Bleeders?
producing a new movie on Netflix.
Ooh.
And it's a modern incarnation of an old film.
Power Rangers.
No!
Oh.
Pee Wee Herman.
Whoa.
Yeah, I seen
Judd
that.
Apatow.
Judd Apatow.
Judd, whatever the hell.
Jude Nelson. Hey, Jude.
I don't know what the fuck
Hey,
his name is.
Jude.
I like 40-Year-Old Virgin. I like his other movies. I don't like Pee Wee Herman. I don't. Maybe because I don't get it.
Why?
I was too young to understand it. It was supposed to be this surreal thing that
Yeah.
like, kind of went against the grain in early 90s
Definitely
America.
darker. Yeah.
But I'm just not a big fan. I wish he was doing other things. And
That's
I don't like
interesting.
Pee Wee Herman. And it's my grind. I just don't want to see it. I don't want
You're
to see
not
Pee Wee
alone. There's a
Herman.
lot of
You're
people don't.
anti-movies. You were anti the Ghostbusters film. And
Yeah.
anti
Really? You were the
this.
anti? Oh no, he
I
was
don't
in
want to
the
see
new
remakes.
one. He
Yes.
was
I
in
want
the
to
new
see
one.
new
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay,
Be
true.
creative.
Yeah,
I don't
like
want to
that.
see new incarnations of things from the early 90s and late 80s.
True.
Be new. Do something
Be
new.
new.
Be new and unconventional.
Yeah.
Ooh, shit.
People need their desires.
Well, no, people don't
to
want
be
that.
unconventional.
The biggest people, the movie that people
Are you talking
talk
about
about,
50
Dumb and
Shades of
Dumber.
Grey?
No, Dumb and Dumber 2. The
Did that
whatever.
do well at the box office?
I don't think so, but everyone's talking about it.
Really?
Everyone's like,
I've heard
Dumb
people
and
talk
Dumber.
about it.
I haven't
You're
talked
right,
about it,
though.
and I haven't heard people talk about it. So I don't
People
know what you guys are talking
like
about.
revisiting the past. People like revisiting what
Makes
they,
them happy.
exactly.
Yeah. All right, so is that a
You
wrap?
already talked about your grind.
No, I already
right?
talked
What
about
was
my
it again?
grind,
I
but
forget.
then you already talked about my pick. My grind was feminist.
All right, that's right. Kevin,
The free
Great.
bleeding hairy
Kevin,
armpit feminist.
please finish this podcast. This
Very quickly.
tangent-filled podcast.
Yeah.
Tangent and pun.
Yes.
That should be the title. of it.
Yeah, pun and tangent.
My grind is the publishers Atari and Electronics Arts for allowing that hunk of garbage Alone in the Dark ever to hit shelves.
Yes. So we're in the middle of Achievement Wars. I have bested Kevin in overall gamer score. Clap, clap. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, thank you.
Well, we have a crowd roaring back
We
there.
do. Molly, thank you for clapping, Molly. That's really nice of you.
Are you hacking over there, hairball?
And Kevin's playing one of the games that I bought when I was an employee at GameStop, Alone in the Dark. And watching him play this, I am so glad I've never played this game. So Kevin,
I am already committed too far into it to quit and give up.
watching it, I just think you just quit.
It's a broken game.
Yeah.
It is. It is
bad.
just broken. Why? I mean, they've implemented things in that game that you have. There's no enjoyment. You try driving a vehicle, and there's like the slightest bump, and you get you bottom out. Basically, you just stop. There's just so many things wrong. I could go on. I'm just not going to. I think I've ranted about Alone in
between
the Dark
the
before.
slime darkness enemy that you have to fight with the flashlight.
Yeah, there's an enemy you can't fight except with light.
Not in a
It's-
good way like Alan Wake did. Alan Wake used that idea in a very good way, using light to fight darkness. But Alone in the Dark did not.
Fun fact, to find the publishers of it,
Yeah.
I came across the Alone in the Dark video game for 360.
Uh-huh.
2 of 5 stars.
Uh-huh.
The Alone in the
Believe
Dark, the Alone in the Dark movie had 1 of 5 stars.
Oh, that movie's horrible. Christian Slater's in it, and Tara Reid. That's a horrible movie. I watched it. I owned it on DVD at one point. It's a horrible fucking movie. That fucking asshole, Uwe Boll, directed it. He is a horrible director. He did Blood Rain and
wow.
House of the Dead.
Okay.
He is a horrible director. He did a lot of video game movies, and
Oh, wow.
he's just the worst. And Alone in the Dark is one of the worst. Fuck you.
That's a very good. Well, I think I got on point with my my grind this time. I got a reaction.
Pretty much everything that is related to Alone in the Dark of recent years is just horrible.
Yeah.
Horribleness filled in shit.
It was like one of the founders for horror puzzle games or something like that. Like before Resident Evil had that horror, like back way.
Alone in
yeah.
the Dark, old school days
Yeah.
was a fine video game.
Yeah.
Like, it was.
And then they just trash its legacy, basically.
Ruined it.
But there's 9 chapters on chapter 8.
The graphics just look horrible. Like, they look ugly. Every character looks horribly ugly.
Yeah.
Like, what in the world are they thinking?
It's
All right,
god-awful.
guys. That's that. Let's play Risk. That's a wrap.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Oh, fuck.
Oh! And there are like shots when there are party foul. And there are
Fuck
shots.
off.